Good morning. Thank you for joining me for another 5 good minutes with the Word. I'm Barry Bryson, and we're continuing our study of Rebekah today, which is part of our larger study of the matriarchs, the women that we really get to know in the book of Genesis. So we're talking about Rebekah, the Rebekah story, the Rachel story, the Zipporah story. Um, they all involve meeting at a well. And so a well was probably a good place to meet women back in ancient times. I don't know. But anyway, and with the Rebecca story, the servant of Abraham had prayed to God, the young woman who shows me the added hospitality of not only giving me water but watering my camels. Let her be the one. Turns out she's family. She's very close family. Everything works out exactly the way God wants it to, and she's agreed to marry. Now Isaac is significantly older. If she's not married yet, she couldn't be more than 17, 18 years old. One would not think. Maybe she is, but a beautiful woman, as she is described as being, a beautiful young woman from a wealthy family. People would have wanted to make the family connections. They would have wanted to, many men would have wanted, her as their wife and would have found a way to pay the bride price. So I can't imagine that she's older, much older than 17, 18 years old. Isaac is 40 at this point. Um, anyway, so when we left last time, they had mounted the camels, she and the servants that went with her, that were sent with her, and Abraham's servant. They're on their camels, and the caravan is heading back to Palestine, to Canaan, into the southern part of Canaan. Because it's interesting where they finally catch up with Isaac. I love this moment. It is so visual. It's so cinematic. You can almost hear the background music because these two people, they do love each other, and that's here in the text that we're going to read today, and we see something of their home life, when they were during those 20 years when they were trying to start a family, and we'll see that next time. But anyway, it's just this romantic moment and a cinematic moment that we get here at the end of chapter 24. So let's read it. Now Isaac had come from going to Beer Lahai Roi, for he was living in the Negev. And Isaac went out to meditate in the field toward evening. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, camels were coming. And Rebekah lifted up her eyes, and when she saw Isaac, she dismounted from the camel. And she said to the servant, "Who is that man walking in the field to meet us?" And the servant said, "He's my master." And she took her veil and covered herself. And the servant told Isaac all these things that she had done. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent. And he took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. There's so much here. Where had Isaac been? He had been to Beer Lahai Roi. Where is that? We just talked about that place. That's the place that Hagar named, the well of the living one who sees. Why was he going there? Maybe just to go to the well. I don't know, but I mean, it's significant that he had just come from this place whenever he sees his wife, meets his wife. I love just the way it's all set up. It's dusk, it's sunset. He's gone into the fields to meditate, to think, to pray. I mean, in many ways, Isaac is the least vivid of any of the patriarchs. We know less about him and his personality, I think, than we do Jacob, Abraham, Joseph, Reuben, or Judah, even. And yet we get this little snippet of his personality, here. He was the kind of a man who, even though he was a rich guy, put in a day's work, and then in the evening went into the fields to think, to pray, you know. Uh, and he sees the caravan in the distance. That's just such a cinematic image. I can see it in my mind's eye, and you can too. I mean, whether it's Lawrence of Arabia riding his camel from the distance, or I don't know, or or the father seeing the prodigal son coming from a distance. That's such a standard shot in cinema and and in storytelling that we can just see that. Excuse me. And I love the fact that she sees him from a distance too. She's with the servant, so it's not important for her to maintain all the decorum of a new bride. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I have a little cough this morning. It's not important for, but when he's there, she puts on her veil so that he doesn't see her without her veil before they are married. I just love that touch too. The woman named Little Ewe Lamb with her beautiful, I'm sure, doughy eyes, and that's what he sees. Taking her to his mother's tent is not creepy. It makes her the head of household. She's the alpha female of the family at this point. That's all that means. And it says in verse 67 that he loved her. And in the Greek translation that the rabbis made in the mid third century BC at the library in Alexandria, when they translated the Bible from the Old Testament from Hebrew to Greek, they had a palette of words to use for the word love because there are multiple words in the Greek language and only one in Hebrew, as there is only one in Greek. I mean, in English, and so they had several to pick from, and they used the word agape in a way that the Greeks never did, and they used it sparingly and they used it importantly. So, I mean, it's the way God feels about us. It's the way we're supposed to feel about God. It's the way Ruth and Naomi felt about each other, David and Jonathan. We talked about that not too long ago. And this is one of those times. This is the second time agape is used in the Greek translation of the Old Testament. The first being Abraham and the way he felt about Isaac. Isaac is loved, and Isaac does love, and Isaac loves her. And he's comforted after his mother's death. We'll talk more about them next time. Thank you so much for joining me for 5 good minutes.